Hello, hello. Okay, my name is Cheyenne. I'm a women's health and fitness coach who specifically works on improving your health and fitness and mental health through lifestyle. So today I wanted to go over a little bit about my allergies journey and how I have improved it throughout the years. So it is all, not that I wrote this down. So I write down a bunch of notes and then to kind of help keep me on track. But it is so connected. I don't think people realize how connected it is between like our gut health with allergies, our immune system, even like eczema or things like IBS and stuff like that, like irritable bowel syndrome. So I was quite young when they said that I had IBS, which I have learned now is kind of just like a blanket term that they say when they don't really know what it is. So I was quite young when they told me that. And then I was also, depression runs in my family, like anxiety and depression runs in it. So there's like a genetic component to it. But I was quite young when we started, like, my mom kind of noticed that I was having what we called down days and stuff like that. And then also I had allergies, but we didn't really know they were allergies because it was to like fruits and vegetables that I was when I was quite younger. And so I'd kind of get like an itchy, like scratchy throat, but we never made the connection until I was about 12 and things started getting worse. So then I was allergic to quite a bit more foods. The reaction was quite a bit worse. Like it would actually get like tight in my throat and then my ears would get like super itchy and red. And also then I started having hay fever allergies. Like all of a sudden I was allergic to pretty much every single tree, bush, grass, blade thing ever. So it just all of a sudden, like I was basically like a bubble, like needed to be in a bubble. Fast forward to adulthood and when I started on my fitness journey, I've noticed that whenever I am like healthier physically and mentally, my allergies were also more manageable without medications. So the years that I was more run down physically and mentally, my allergies, like seasonal allergies were awful. They're a lot worse. So like this is swollen, red, watery eyes, going through a black box of Kleenex with allergy medication. Like it was really bad. So, but then the years where I was better mentally, better physically, I would say probably had a stronger immune system. I don't really get sick a ton, but then when I do, I get like sick frequently all of a sudden in a few month period. So yeah, I noticed it was better with like lifestyle, mental, physical health and stuff like that. So also something to keep in mind through my research and like trying to be like, how can I make this better? Because also I am not against any medications. They're all used for like a tool and a purpose. However, I do strongly believe that so many things we can actually improve on ourselves on our own without having to be on medication. That is, and I worked in pharmacy for over 10 years. This is what's kind of set me on my mission because I have made so many improvements in my mental health, my physical health with my allergies once I got like without medication. So I was on it. There's a whole other podcast on that, but there is so much more in our control and like what we can improve on our own. Just want to empower everyone to be able to do that for themselves, right? Because I think at one point I felt I didn't have any control and like my body, I was just kind of like trapped in my body with all these issues that I had to deal with every day. And it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. So hopefully I give you some hope. But anyway, so every 7 years our body does cycle and about every 7 years. And so things can change. So like people might not ever have allergies and then all of a sudden they get allergies, but then it might like cycle and go away or it might not. However, I was able to improve this like between all those years, like over the last 10, probably more now, 12 maybe. I've been able to improve it and then it would be like, years where it would go back or revert back. And so I've kind of been noticing all this stuff and like what are the things that I'm doing consistently in the years where it is better, right? Where I'm not having to maybe take medication, or if I take medication, it actually helps. So, so what are the things that I'm consistently for the years where it's been good? So, common factor is I typically had a lot less stress in my life. So even for this year, I've noticed like last year, actually, it wasn't too bad. I think my body was still in like such a heightened like fight or flight response, maybe. But this year, I've noticed it's just like hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, okay, I felt like things were getting better, but I haven't gotten sick in a long time, which is great. Last year I got sick a lot. But yeah, I'm not sure why, but it's been really bad this year, although I have had a ton of stress so far this year too. So that is a huge one, I feel like. The second one is following the foundations. Like my 5-step framework is the foundations to pretty much improving your, yeah, just the foundations to improving your physical and mental health overall. So that's my steps, my water, my protein, my sleep, and my weight training. This has not been terrible this year. Like I have been pretty consistent with it. I was weight training 5 days a week, like coming into the year, and I did burn myself out and like with other things happening. So I did have to go back to my 3 to 4 days a week. That's all I do ever do in the program anyways. But for myself, I was trying to be a little bit of an overachiever and I do love weight training so much. Like it does improve my mental health so much. I have so much more energy after I go to a gym. I feel more creative. I just enjoy things so much better after I go to the gym and like really just get my mental health in check. So I was dealing with a bunch of stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm going 5 days a week. It'll be great. But because of all that added stress and like other things I'm kind of still healing through with from past stuff, I just got ran down. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? We're gonna have to tune her back here. But the third one would be whole foods. Yeah, so getting whole foods and like aiming for about 80% or more. So it's like that 80-20 rule. The processed crap, like there's just so much in it that is not good for us, right? And we're just overloaded with so many toxins per day. Wherever we can make a bit of a difference to reduce that overload is going to help us physically, mentally, and with our immune system, everything then too, right? So whole foods, 80% or more, that is another big one. I also noticed like, and this kind of ties into lower overall stress, but like being in a good environment or like home life. So, having a, healthy home life is really important, but then also think about where are you spending a lot of your time, right? If it's at work and you have a very toxic environment, that's taking a toll on your body. Again, it goes back to the stress thing, but that's still taking a toll on your body, your immune system, your hormone levels, everything. So that's another one. And then, oh yeah, I got outside more frequently even during the winter months. The months or the years where I was still like getting outside quite a bit during the winter, on top of like lower stress and all, which I mean, getting outside also lowers stress too, right? So they are kind of all connected. But that was also a big factor in I've noticed going into the summer months for my allergies, hay fever wise. And then healthy gut practices, including so healthy gut practices, including what I mentioned, because like reducing stress, getting outside, eating whole foods, um, all of that is going to be important for your gut health as well. But then also a couple more tips. So having more like fermented or naturally probiotic foods. So that's going to be like for me, I have like plain Greek yogurt, kombucha sometimes, sauerkraut. Those are kind of like my go-tos for naturally fermented foods. But then there's also kefir. Oh yeah, sauerkraut, plain Greek yogurt, blah, blah, blah. And then prebiotics. So that's going to be your fibrous foods, veggies, fruits, whole grains, etc. Like things like that. Also a variety of different foods. So think of your body as, I had written down a really good, I feel like it kind of came out of nowhere, but what was it that I wrote down? Oh, I didn't write it down in here. I think I wrote it down in another one. Okay, so variety of food. So think of like each veggie fruit has different enzymes. So think of these enzymes as like little soldiers, and they all have their own specialty. By getting a variety of these, specialty trained soldiers in your gut ecosystem, they're going to be a lot stronger together on like fighting off, like, if something comes up, he's like, oh, it's okay. I got that. Like I was trained for that, for the digestion and stuff like that, right? So there's certain enzymes and, like your micronutrients, your minerals, all of that as well in all of the varieties of different fruits. So I'm not saying like you need to be eating things that are maybe not to your culture or like your background. I'm not saying like go out and eat a bunch of, say if you're from Canada, where I am. I'm not saying go and buy a bunch of Asian fruits or veggies, right? Like that's not what I'm saying here, but we too often get kind of stuck, and I've been guilty of this too, right? We too often get kind of stuck in our things that are like we're familiar with. So we just get the same things. Like maybe you have an apple every day. Have you had a banana or an orange or, maybe a peach or anything else as far as fruit goes? Or maybe you have a carrot a day. Well, there's broccoli, there's spinach, there's bell peppers, there's so many other things, and they bring their own benefits to you, right? So having a variety of different fruits and vegetables that are relevant to like where you're from and kind of your background is a way to also just build up a stronger ecosystem than having like the same little soldier man, a bunch of them who are all trained in the same thing and they're like, oh, we're not sure what to do with him. What about you? Oh, no, we don't know. Oh, what about you? We don't know, right? That's kind of my way of thinking of it. I don't know if that's like scientifically really correct, to be honest, but that's how I think about it when I read about it and how I can kind of like conceptualize it in my brain. Oh, a bunch of specialty doctors opposed to a general physician. That's what I actually thought about. That probably would have been a better one to go with. But anyway, so last bit, yeah, so sleep and reduced stress are so important. Yeah, and then you can do, you can be eating the food, you can be doing the workouts, you can be doing all of the things, but like if your sleep and your stress is not managed at all, and it can be well managed and you can still, your body's still going to take a toll, but you can kind of keep going, right? But if it's not well managed at all, it's not going to do anything, right? Sleep and stress are so, so big. And so, yeah, anyways, that's my last little bit about that. Yeah, poor quality sleep or chronic stress and your gut will still struggle regardless of food and workouts and stuff like that. So, anyways, that's kind of my little tidbits here. So, things, oh, and actually we'll kind of go a little bit further on this because I want to touch base actually on the stomach part of it. So, I had a ton of food allergies, so many of them. And as I've done this work with improving my gut health, improving my mental and physical health, doing things to help also build up my immune system because your allergy is like allergies are immune response. I've also been able to start getting more of that variety. So when I was quite young, I had to cut out a whole bunch of foods because, well, the doctor said, well, if you're allergic to it, just don't eat it. And so there was quite a bit of things that I just couldn't eat. And over the years, through doing this, I've been able to slowly reintroduce quite a bit of those foods. So, I mean, one of them is bell peppers. They still do a little bit bother me, but if I cook them, then it's fine. Whereas before, it was like, even if I cooked them, I'd get stomach upsets, I'd get a little bit itchy. Avocados, I can finally eat avocados, which is amazing. I had watermelon for the first time this year in probably like 5 years. And I had no reaction whatsoever, which that was one of like the biggest ones that would bother me. When I was a kid, mom would buy me a watermelon and I would eat it for, I think it was for birthdays. We started doing this. I would just take Benadryl and then eat pretty much like a whole watermelon because otherwise I was allergic to it. I couldn't enjoy it otherwise. So that's been one that now I've been able to add back in. Yeah, cucumbers, that's another one. Bananas even used to bother me. I can eat those again. Apples used to bother me. I can eat those again. Yeah, I should make a list of, I could. But it's just very interesting, right? Because it was something that was to the point where like I avoided it entirely because I was like, I don't have an EpiPen and I don't know if this is actually going to get worse at some point because it would get so tight and like swollen. But I never actually went to emerge, like I never got to that point. So I kind of just comboshed anything that triggered me for a long time there. And to get to this point now where it's like, okay, like we're able to start adding things in again without having that reaction. And it's like a couple of them, like avocados, I added it in, there's a slight reaction. So I waited a little, like I started just having one like once a week and then increasing it a bit more. And now it seems to be okay. So it's been a very interesting journey. If you have allergies and you feel like you're just like at loss of how to improve this, or like you maybe never even thought you could, I would challenge you to start maybe taking some of these tips and just seeing for yourself if you're able to make it a little bit better, because I know it's friggin' frustrating. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. If you like this, be sure to follow along for more, hit the like button, and we will talk soon.